A quick trigger warning, this episode does have discussion of sexual assault, so please listen with care. I'll put some resources in the show notes just in case you need them. Hi friends, I'm Brynn.
And I'm Don.
And this is Friends Who Crime.
Do, Friends Who Crime.
Hey Don, very happy to have you on the show today. Please tell listeners, who are you?
So my name is Don, and I'm a musician here in Austin, and just an overall cool dude. There we go.
Yeah.
So my band is Villamora. I play guitar, and it's crazy. I've been in the band for roughly. Let's see, we first got together in 2013 was whenever I joined, but we broke up in 2016 for 6 years. So
Wow.
we got back together in 2022, I want to say. And yeah, I've been doing that for ever since.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
So cool. Just so everyone knows, I love Villamora. Villamora.
Which is really cool because, I mean, fun fact, our vocalist, John, actually took vocal lessons with Brynn.
Yep.
Here. And his voice is so much better. So if anyone needs vocal lessons, definitely do it.
Thank you for that plug.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
There you go.
It's amazing what telling someone to breathe will do.
For real. Yeah.
Okay, so that's you and what you do. How do we know each other?
I met Brynn at the music school that we both teach at.
Mm-hmm.
I am a guitar/drum teacher at the Leander Music School.
Yep.
And that's where I met Brynn. We've known each other for like a year and a half. Maybe?
Yeah, a year and a
It's
half.
like, yeah,
That's wild.
a long time already.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and Don's also played some music for me in my band.
I did. Yeah, I did do that. We did really good until Pink Pony Club, and then I botched that solo so hard, but
And it was fine. Nobody knew except for us.
No worries.
And it's funny, everyone on the podcast except for my mom has been somehow music related.
Yeah.
And I keep trying to like find people that aren't music related to come on, and I literally have no one.
Man.
They're all music people.
Yeah.
I gotta put some more effort in. And then what's your relationship with true crime? Do you like it? Do you hate it?
So, I definitely like true crime a lot. I believe it was either episode 3 or episode 4. You had one person on there that was talking about unsolved mysteries.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that show.
Yes.
I watch it a lot, and so they stopped releasing new seasons for a really long time, and then they recently started back up. I want to say like last year or maybe 2 years ago, and I'm already caught up on like all of it. I love like a lot of the like cold case files,
Yeah.
TV shows and stuff like that. And my mom is a paranormal investigator, and so
How did I not know this?
and so I've been involved in that world since I was like 10, 11 years old. And so I mean with paranormal investigation, like it's like people are just, like they get murdered or something happens and stuff like that. And so there's usually always some kind of like story that goes behind why people or why ghosts necessarily haunt places and stuff like that. And so true crime has always been really fascinating, and it's always been really cool. To me personally, it's just really interesting on what the human mind will kind of like make you do. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's part of why I love it too. I had to Google a while back to make sure that I wasn't like a psychopath because I listened to so much true crime.
Yeah.
And it was like, no, like you like the psychology of it, and you can actually get addicted to true crime because it releases dopamine.
Interesting.
So you can
yeah.
get addicted, and I
Yeah.
definitely am. So.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, I love all of that stuff too. Like unsolved mysteries and just all those like documentaries and stuff. I'll watch a documentary on like anything.
Okay, I hope you haven't watched the documentary that's on Netflix about this case. I really hope. I'm crossing my fingers.
I might not have.
Okay.
So
Cool.
we'll see. Yeah.
I can't believe I didn't know your mom was a paranormal investigator.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. I have dabbled in that recently.
Yeah. No, I usually I usually don't tell people. I definitely will get into it, but it's not something that I like immediately throw out there and stuff. But yeah, I've done it a lot. I've been all over the US with her, and I've gone into Canada with her too.
What?
And stuff, and I've stayed at a lot of like haunted places, and we've been to a lot of like haunted places and stuff. So
That's really cool.
it is very cool. It doesn't go without saying that stuff like freaks me out so much,
Sure.
but it is super awesome. Yeah.
I tried out this new segment a few weeks ago called Brinterrogation, where I talked a little bit about my life at the beginning of episodes. And I am henceforth changing the name to Brinterruption because I think it's a little more fitting for the segment. So here's my Brinterruption today. It is my quasi spring break this week. Yours too.
Yes. Yeah.
Even though I still have to work a few days. I'm feeling somewhat relaxed, but I'm definitely still keeping myself busy somehow. I really wanted to chill all week, but gotta make money.
I feel that for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I booked a wedding gig this weekend, and it's a 4-hour set, so I've got a ton of music to brush up on.
Yikes.
And it's gonna be stressful, but wedding gigs are always really fun.
Yeah.
And you get free food.
That is true. Yeah, my older brother used to play in this like 80s like hair metal cover band.
Cool.
And I mean, he probably played his band would do like 2 or 3 like hour and a half sets through every single night and
Yep.
stuff that they would play. And I would just be like, there's no way that I would ever like do that. That's so much.
It's a lot.
So much material to go over and to make sure that you're solid on. Crazy.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
congratulations.
Thank you.
That is awesome.
I say this every episode, but this one is wild. Wild. So what if a total stranger saved your life with a hatchet? Today, we're talking about the case of the Hatchet Wielding Hitchhiker. Do you know about this one?
I do. However, blow my mind. Come
Okay,
on.
I'm going to try.
Yes.
We start on a sunny day in Fresno, California. It's February 2013, so I'm going to take us back for a moment just to set the scene of what was going on in 2013. Obama had just been inaugurated for his second term. Lance Armstrong confessed to Oprah that he used performance-enhancing drugs. Netflix released their first original series ever, House of Cards.
Nice.
Vine had just been launched.
Yes, there you go.
And social media in general was on the rise. The word of the year was selfie.
Okay. And I had just graduated high school in 2012 I graduated. So
Okay.
I mean, kind of,
Yeah, I would have been in my junior year. And I didn't hear about it when I was in high school. I only knew about it after I watched the documentary a few years ago. So on February 1st, 2013, there was a horrific car accident. A man named Jet McBride was driving down a busy street. During his drive, he picked up a scruffy-looking homeless hitchhiker. To this hitchhiker's shock, McBride intentionally plowed his car into a pedestrian, trapping the pedestrian between the front of his car and the back of another.
That is brutal.
McBride then gets out of the car, starts yelling some really weird and awful things. He claims he is Jesus Christ, and that in order for the world to be saved, he needs to get rid of all black people.
Yikes.
Yikes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So not only is he delusional and probably psychotic, but he's also a racist piece of shit.
Jesus.
A woman runs over to the cars to make sure everyone's okay, and McBride starts to physically assault her. He attacks her. He puts her in a headlock and starts choking her. Then the scruffy-looking hitchhiker runs up with a hatchet in his hand, and he hits McBride 3 times in the head, which obviously stops the attack and saves the woman's life.
Yeah.
This scruffy-looking man is Caleb Lawrence McGillvary, a.k.a. Kai. Surprisingly, none of the people involved in this altercation suffered any life-threatening injuries. When police and news crews arrived at the scene, Kai gives an interview for Fox News, and it was KMPH, if I'm remembering right, like the local channel.
Mm-hmm.
This interview would launch him into the social media spotlight. I'm gonna play a clip of audio from that interview right now.
If you started driving that car around again, man, there would have been a hell of a lot of bodies around here. Fucking, I hop on out, and so I grabbed the bag, I threw it over by that pole right there, and then fucking Buddy gets out, and these 2 women are trying to help him. He runs up and he grabs one of them, man. Like a guy that big can snap a woman's neck like a pencil stick. So I fucking ran up behind him with a hatchet, smash, smash, smash. Yeah.
Kai is so kind and candid in the interview. He starts off with a heartfelt message that everyone deserves respect, and then he goes into what took place. The iconic moment that everyone loved was the smash, smash, smash. After the interview, other news stations approached Kai, but he didn't want to talk to anyone else, and he left the scene. Overnight, Kai becomes an internet sensation. He's an unlikely hero, a nomadic vigilante, and people love that shit. His interview prompted tons of tweets, reaction videos, memes, news articles, and several remix songs.
There you go. Yes.
Stephen Colbert did a segment on it. Kai had that it factor, and people wanted a piece of it after that interview.
They, naturally gravitated towards it.
Yeah, and he was really charismatic as a person as well. Since Kai was homeless, it took a lot of work for these people to track him down. The reporter for KMPH News, Jasib Reisbeck, the one that originally interviewed him, was the one to actually track him down and find him. Kai was in Stockton, and Reisbeck left immediately on a quest to interview him again, and he did. He found him. In this interview, they wanted to show more of Kai's everyday life. It's pretty interesting. Kind of shows how he lives as an unhoused person. He uses the term home free.
Yeah.
He's a home free person. They went to a guitar shop during this interview, and Kai played one of the guitars on the wall, like at Guitar Center or something. And he sang one of his original songs, and he's pretty good. He's a talented guy.
Yeah.
After filming, Reisbeck gave Kay some life-changing news. The producers of The Kardashians wanted to give him his own reality show. He told Kai that he could be an overnight millionaire, right? For some people, that's the dream.
I mean, why not, right?
Why not?
Yeah.
Exactly. So in response to this news, Kai said, I kind of want to go to the Bay Area and smoke some weed, which is such a vibe.
Yeah, I mean, also too, why not?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So he's faced with this decision of do I want to be a millionaire and have a TV show, or do I want to go to the Bay Area and smoke some weed? It's one of the two. And he grabbed this golf pencil that was sitting on the table in front of him, and he flipped it in the air, and depending on which way it landed, he was going to make a decision that way. Like, does it point left? Does it point right? So he tosses it in the air, and it tells him to go to the Bay Area to smoke some weed.
There you go.
So he goes off, and the producers that want him to have a show, they're pretty pissed, right? So they come back with a counter offer, and they say that they would send a limo filled with weed for him. And he was like, all right, I'll do it.
There you go. Very, very tempting. So, I mean, why not both?
Pros and
right?
cons, right?
Yeah.
Why not both?
Why not both? Exactly.
So they send someone to pick him up, and they start booking him publicity gigs, like, immediately. Kai's getting all this fame for saving a woman's life, but my first thought is he also bludgeoned a man to death, and he's getting all this fame. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
kind of getting glorified, and it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, it's like you are viewed as a hero for saving someone, but you also killed someone too.
Right.
You know? So,
Almost immediately, the producers started to see erratic behavior from Kai. He had a very obvious problem with alcohol. He got kicked out of his hotel for skateboarding inside. And at one point, he pulled his pants down in the middle of Hollywood Boulevard and peed on the Walk of Fame, which is very classy.
based.
And he just had no sense of consequences for his actions.
Yeah.
His first publicity gig was Jimmy Kimmel. And this was kind of his peak, right? While he and the producers were preparing at the studio, the police showed up. And they take Kai away in a patrol car. They just kind of wanted to talk to him since he was the key witness in this car wreck turned assault situation.
Yep.
The police question him, and then they very kindly drive him back to Jimmy Kimmel, and it's just enough time, like 30 minutes before they drop him off, and he goes on.
Nice.
So, like,
Yeah.
just in time.
Like perfect timing.
And the show was very weird. Like, Kai was like, they did a bit where Jimmy Kimmel's like driving in a car, and then he's like, there's a hitchhiker, like, get in my car. And then Kai is supposed to like get in the car and they're gonna talk, but instead he like jumps on top of the fake car, and Jimmy Kimmel's like, I don't know if the car's gonna hold your weight, please get in the car, you're supposed to get in the car. And he's like, oh, okay, man. Like, just very
It's just very awkward and very weird. Yeah.
and Jimmy Kimmel kind of like, he rode with it. He
Mm-hmm.
he did a really good job of like making a joke and then moving on.
Got you.
So eventually, after that, of course, Kai has to go to court to testify in the trial of Jet McBride,
Yes.
the crazy guy from the beginning of our story. And this is one of the turning points in this story, not in a good way. He gives his testimony, and everyone starts to realize that Kai may have had a hand in what happened. Turns out he and McBride had smoked a joint in the car beforehand, and as they chatted back and forth, Kai told McBride that they were ghosts, and he said, I bet we could drive straight through that truck and no one would see us.
Interesting. Okay.
McBride told Kai that he was Jesus Christ, right? He's walking around saying he's Jesus, and that he could do whatever he wanted. And then he said, watch this. And he turned his wheel and drove into a group of pedestrians,
Got you.
trapping a man with his car. And we've already kind of talked about what happens after that.
Mm-hmm.
As Kai described his heroic deeds, the particularly damning part of the story were the 3 smashes of his hatchet, right?
Smash, smash.
Smash, smash, smash. The first 2 hits, he used the dull end of the hatchet, but then on the third one, he had flipped it around to the sharp side.
Got you.
And honestly, like, 1 hit, 2 hits maybe would be enough to like pacify the situation, but he went in for the kill on the third one. That's how I
just
see it.
just made sure that guy was not coming back.
Right. He
Yeah.
made sure he was dead. Kai also had a history of violence. He told Reisbeck, the reporter, that he had done something similar months earlier to a man who was, quote, beating up on his wife in public. And that he hit the guy with an axe.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It didn't kill him, but he hit him with an axe.
Yeah.
He told another guy that the joint he rolled and handed to McBride didn't know it, but Kai said it was laced.
Oof.
With other things.
I wonder what other things.
So that's my question as well. When they did the toxicology reports on the joint and on McBride's body, they found nothing besides marijuana.
Interesting. So, I mean, because like you can say that stuff is like in it, and then it makes your brain think and stuff. So I wonder if he might have just like said it and then just like almost kind of like a like a placebo effect almost, but who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? In the documentary, they describe it as, quote, starting a fire, then putting out the fire he started and being called a hero, which I think is a really great way to describe that. Shortly after the trial of McBride, Kai went to New York. After arriving, he posted on Facebook for Mother's Day, which sounds really nice, right?
Yeah.
Well, let me read this for you. This is all a quote. First memories, I was in a crib and family was fussing over me, but I kept getting told that I had a demon. I would get locked in a room for 20 hours a day with a little porta-potty camp toilet in the corner of the room. Then after that, my mouth filled with hot pepper and soap for yelling "fuck you" at the top of my lungs. Signing off, Happy Mother's Day.
Dang.
Just bizarre.
Yeah, that's kind of a weird Facebook post to make.
Just out of nowhere for Mother's Day. There you go. Childhood trauma. He did actually have a really awful, terrible childhood, according to like his cousins and some of his neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
He was born in 1988, and his parents separated when he was 4 years old. While other kids were playing outside and like being kids, Caleb, which is Kai's real name, was in a dark room, locked from the outside. He grew up moving around a lot, but music was always a constant for him. He sang songs about his childhood as a way to cope.
Gotcha. Yep.
However, several people noted that there was something a little off about him. He was a free spirit, but he had fits of rage, especially when people made fun of him, when he thought people were making fun of him. And as an adult, those fits did not go away.
Yeah.
On May 13th, 2013, so just a few months after the first incident, a well-known lawyer, Joseph Golfi, was found beaten to death inside his home in Clark, New Jersey. He was laying on the ground next to his bed in a pool of blood, clothed only in his socks and underwear. The police found no signs of forced entry in the home, nor did they find any evidence of burglary. And this always points to homicide.
Yeah.
Like someone's in there, they didn't take anything, they didn't force their way in, so it's probably someone who's coming into the house with the permission of the owner.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then doesn't take anything, so it's not a burglary, so it's a homicide.
Yeah.
Under a laptop in the home, they found a sticky note that had a phone number on it with the name Lawrence Kai. Having no idea who Kai was, the police Googled him. And of course, an endless amount of videos pop up.
Smash, smash, smash.
And they, through the smash, 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 they saw a potentially violent man.
Yeah.
And it grabbed their interest for this homicide.
Yeah, it just gravitated after that to something, or maybe gravitated is the worst, is a wrong word, but it slowly escalated into something else. Yeah.
That's the theory, right? They also found a train ticket in Golfie's home. So they get a hold of the security footage from the closest train station.
Mm-hmm.
In the security feed, they see Golfie buy a train ticket and hand it to someone that's hidden behind a wall. Although they couldn't see the person, they saw glimpses of light brown, long, curly hair. Then the person finally walks out from behind the wall, and guess who? It's Kai.
It is Kai. In the flesh.
In the flesh. Kai, the hatchet wielding hitchhiker. The police called the Fresno police, and they got all the information they needed on Kai, aka 25-year-old Caleb Lawrence McGillvary. They had their suspect, they just needed to find him. He could be anywhere.
Yeah.
They released a press statement to try to locate him, emphasizing that he was dangerous and that he could be anywhere.
Yeah.
And that he was probably armed. The very next day, Kai posted on Facebook yet again. I'm going to paraphrase some of this because the actual post is a little hard to read. Like, it has some elements of sexual assault, so I'm just going to paraphrase.
Yeah.
He said, "What would you do if you woke up with a groggy head, a metallic taste in your mouth in a stranger's house, walked into the mirror and started retching, realizing that someone had drugged and raped you? What would you do?" This pretty much confirmed that Kai had murdered Golfie.
Yeah.
The manhunt had officially begun. Police discovered Kai had met up with a fan in Philadelphia after the murder. He took pictures with her, and of course she posted them online, and now the police had a very recent picture of him. Kai had cut his hair in an attempt to not be recognized, but an employee at Starbucks saw him and called 911. By the time the police got there, he had left. The police searched the surrounding area and finally arrested him at a Greyhound bus station.
Oh, man.
So he was trying to get out of there.
He was trying to dip.
Yep.
Yeah.
During police interrogation, Kai described his experience at Golfie's home. Kai had been hitchhiking, and Golfie picked him up. After some conversation, Golfie invited Kai to stay at his home for a night, and Kai decided that was a good idea. He was going to crash there, and then he woke up the next morning to go to the train station. Golfie bought him a ticket, and they exchanged contact information before hugging and parting ways. When Kai got off the train, he said the friends he was meeting were nowhere to be found. And this is all according to Kai, by the way.
Yes, yeah.
He didn't have a place to stay, so he called Golfie up to see if he could stay with him again that night. Golfie said yes, and Kai made his way back to his home. They ate dinner and drank beer. According to Kai, the next thing he remembers is waking up on the floor with Golfie standing over him trying to pull down his pants. Kai said he hit Golfie in the head. Before explaining any more to the police, Kai asked for a lawyer and they had to stop the interrogation. That's the rule. Police noted that there were no defensive wounds on Kai, no scratches, no bruises, anything like that, and this casted some doubt on his version of the events.
Mm-hmm.
Police had come up with their own timeline to kind of contradict his story. They alleged that Kai had been sexually assaulted on the first night he stayed with Golfie and then returned to his home the following evening with plans to end Golfie's life.
Yeah.
They also wondered if Kai had just made up the sexual assault altogether and had just snapped and killed him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like questioning people who claim sexual assault, so I think it probably did happen in some capacity, but I don't think we're ever going to know for sure.
Yeah, I don't think, and I mean, I also feel that way too. I think that it is extremely frustrating, but also invalidating, questioning someone on that, because it's such a huge thing that it's just if you had to go through that experience, hopefully no one ever will, but and then someone being oh well, you just made that up, and
right.
It's well, I mean, not really, but all right.
Right, exactly. 7 out of 8 people who are accused of sexual assault walk free. So
yeah,
that's part of it as well. When police investigated the crime scene further, they found marks on the floor that indicated Golfy's head was sitting sideways with his ear to the ground and that his head was stomped on from above. Golfy's nose and cheekbones had been broken, and those are strong bones. Like, it takes a
Brutal.
lot.
Yeah, that is intense.
Yeah. And they found there's like a little mark of blood on the ground, right? And in that mark of blood is an ear print. So, like, his ear was on the ground. So that's how they know, like, his head was stomped on.
Yeah.
The blood trail showed that Golfy had crawled across the floor and then died in his bedroom where they found him. In his trial in April of 2019, Kai was proven to be a cold-blooded, calculated killer who used his image as a free spirit to hide his violent nature. Kai had several outbursts in the courtroom. He had to be escorted out at one point. He was really combative on the stand. And let me insert here, it is never a good idea to take the stand in a case against yourself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I don't ever intend to be in that situation, but, like, just, that's my advice. Unless you've actually done the crime, and then you should testify and get caught and all the things. But if you're innocent, don't do it.
Yeah, there's no reason to.
And in this case, like, it really didn't help Kai. It did the opposite. He was arguing with the lawyers and yelling at them, and it's just not a good look.
Yeah.
And the jury, of course,
also
caught the vibe, right?
Yeah. Pretty much, where like it set himself up to even if he might not have been guilty, like it gave off that vibe that he just like was guilty, like
Right.
no matter what, you know.
And that he had something going on mentally
Yeah.
that could have turned into a situation where he murdered someone.
Yeah.
The jury found him guilty of first-degree murder, premeditated, and he was sentenced to 57 years in a maximum security prison, and he's required to serve 85% of that sentence before he can be considered for parole.
So that's like 40 years, right? That's like 40 to 42 or something.
48 and a half years, yeah, give or take.
Wow.
Kai has attempted to appeal his sentence several times, but his conviction has been upheld, as it should. He has at least one more appeal at his disposal, but I can't imagine that he'll ever get his verdict overturned.
Yeah.
And I doubt he'll ever get parole.
Yeah.
The judge actually told him, when you get out of prison, you'll still be younger than McBride was when he died. Or not McBride. Yes. No. Golfy.
Yeah.
He'll still be younger than Golfy was when he died, when he killed him. Which actually wasn't accurate because Kai was 25, so he's going to be like a year or two older, but
yeah.
I
So,
digress.
I mean, 25 plus 48 is what? That's that'll be like 73 or something.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Unfortunately, I don't think we'll ever get the truth about what happened the night of the murder. Kai sticks to his story of self-defense and took away the opportunity for Golfy to tell his side. Or even to be prosecuted for what he potentially did to, what he allegedly did to Kai. The big debate, especially online, is Kai a hero turned villain, or is he a victim of circumstance? What do you think?
So I did watch the documentary on Netflix about this, but that was like a year and a half ago, maybe.
Okay.
It was definitely a little bit. And what I pulled from watching that documentary was that I felt like Kai was really misunderstood and definitely needed a lot of help.
Yes.
And instead of people offering to give him help, they offered him a bunch of money and like a show to kind of like help like amplify his character and blah 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 blah
To
blah
make money off of it
and stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought that was it's part of that like industry, which is to be extremely like exploitative of people, regardless if they're like sane or not. And then with his name is Golfy, right?
Yes.
So with that scenario as well, is he was like a wealthy businessman, lawyer, like and he I think I remember from the documentary, like his neighbors essentially were like, well, I never got that vibe from him that he would ever do something like that and stuff. But it's like those are the people that you need to like watch out for. Like
Yeah.
they of course are not going to show you their like true colors and stuff. And so I definitely feel for Kai a lot, because it's like, one, he probably did have a super rough childhood growing up, and he had a lot of mental issues that he definitely needed. Not to be like very judgmental and stuff like that, but I mean, it's known that like old white dudes like to sexually assault not only women but also vulnerable people, regardless of your gender, you know.
Yeah.
And stuff. And so for me, watching that documentary and then with you telling me this whole story again, like I feel like Kai was in more of a self-defense kind of vibe, you know. But in self-defense, like I feel like he kind of was left no other option and was felt wronged. But that's just me personally. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Valid. Totally valid.
Yeah.
My thing is, he beat this guy to death, right? So he
Yeah.
obviously had the upper hand. He had no defensive wounds on his body. To me, at some point, Golfy would have been hurt enough
yeah.
that
But
Kai didn't have to
he probably
kill
didn't
him.
have to go the full extent.
And that's what happened the first time too,
Yeah.
right? With
yeah,
the
like
third
the
blow.
guy, yeah, like
So-
he didn't have to go all the way.
But definitely, like, you have to see both sides, because we don't know. We just don't know.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
maybe on Kai's deathbed, he'll confess or at least tell the truth to what happened. But with his mental issues, I don't think, my prediction is that he'll just never tell the truth.
Yeah.
Eventually, what you say over and over again, the story you tell yourself, becomes the truth.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, in this case, if Kai never confesses or if he never changes his story, the phenomenon where it's like eventually that becomes like the only thing that you actually know.
The moral to this story is that the internet makes people famous without knowing who they really are.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, Don, thank you so much for being here. It
Yeah.
has been a pleasure.
Thank you very much for having me. I was looking forward to this for like months.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Tune in next week for another episode. And until then, remember, friends don't let friends commit crimes. Bye.
Smash, smash, smash. Yeah, yeah. If he started driving that car again, there'd be a hell of a lot of bodies around here. Dude, that guy was fucking cooped out. He can snap a woman's neck like a pencil stick. So I started smashing him in the head. Smash, smash, smash. No matter what you've done, you deserve